Entrepreneurs on born that brew. You are now listening to the Entrepreneur Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney. Let's grow!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your host, Adam McChesney, and I want to thank you for being here today. If you're listening, please be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. We would love for you to share this on social media by tagging me and our guests, and that way we can get this content out to more people. Today, we have an in-person episode here at Half Coast Studios. This is a special one for me because this guest and I have known each other over the last 3+ years at this point. He and I have both grown a lot over the last few years. He's been a client, friend, Airbnb roommate, and more than anything, just someone I have the utmost respect for. I love what he's doing. He's got an incredible story. I don't want to steal his thunder, but he's done some incredible stuff, going to continue to do some incredible stuff. And to be honest, I don't even know all the projects he's working on. So we'll learn more about him. But today's guest is Todd Liscombe. He's the owner of Liscombe Tree Service. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Nice to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you, man. Yeah. It's been a long time coming.
It has been, man. It's been a wild 3 years has passed since you were in an Airbnb in Texas with Joey and all them guys just hanging out and just, or even being in, I guess where we actually initially met was at Paramore's event.
Yeah,
man, we were both trying to just figure out what we're gonna do with our lives. So.
Yeah, it's been crazy. A lot has happened. A lot has changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, really excited to have you here. You have an incredible story. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of starting the audience off with a little bit about your history. I know you got a great story. So give us, whatever you'd like to share about where you're at and all that good stuff.
A little about myself. Todd Liscombe, born and raised right here in St. Louis, St. Charles area. Haven't really gone far from here. Grew up in the blue collar family, the construction workers, work hard, play harder kind of mentality. Just kind of that get by, it was never really not a high class, just a lower middle class family had what we needed. And, just always saw hard work ethic and knew that I always wanted more than just having a boss or, going to work for someone every day. So, since I've been younger, I've been into entrepreneurship. I mean, I've been cutting yards since I was 12 years old. I had a lawn care business. I grew up to like 50 accounts by the time I was like 16. So I was that guy driving to high school every day with a truck, a trailer. Everybody's getting out to go.
Not a bad deal.
Yeah, everybody's getting out to go party and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta go cut 30 yards. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but it's all good, man. It was cool. I always went the working route. It's just the way it was. So, I kind of grew up in that kind of a shaky household, understood, kind of where I wanted to be and didn't want to be in life. And I saw a lot of struggle growing up in the sense of like just finances and just emotional intelligence and just things like that I really wanted to hone in on because, if you can be the cycle breaker in your family, dude, it's huge. Like huge things can happen. So I was aware of that. Always wanted to do that. Fast forward to high school. And like I said, I was cutting grass, doing all that. Along came my now wife, her name's Morgan. And next thing you know, we had a kid on the way, our junior year of high school. So senior year, I became a father. Mm-hmm. A lot of people say, well, what was that like? I just simply say there's no option. You just man up, you take care of business, and that's the way it is. So for me, I didn't know what that looked like. Cutting grass wasn't going to do it. So trying to figure out what I was going to do to afford a kid and insurance and live, right? So was able to graduate a semester early in high school, did some like online classes, and then a buddy of mine was like, hey, man, my whole family's carpenters. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, well, I'm going to go be a carpenter, right? That's just natural to follow that footsteps. But then I had a buddy of mine who was like, hey, man, there's a tree service clearing the power lines from Ameren, and it starts out at like $18.80 an hour. And I believe carpenters, it was like $13.20 an hour. I was like, well, I'm going for the higher money, So that's where we went, man. So I went there. It was a union apprenticeship program. Got on there, man. Was young, eager, 18, fresh father, a kid, having a kid now. You know what I mean? So it was like, hey, man, this isn't about me. This isn't about going out and partying and doing all this stuff, which a lot of people did. But for me, it was like, no, dude, man up, take care of what you did here. And that's what it was. So got on at Nelson, worked my tail off there, had my lawn care business, realized I couldn't do both. So sold the lawn care business for equipment asset value, nothing special. And then was able to, in the union, was able to just journey out, meaning scale up to the top of it. Journeyman status is like you're the top of the union. You can do the trade well. So by the time I was like 21, I had journeyed out, was running crews of guys that were, 2-3 times my age. That has its challenges.
Yeah.
Still broke, was making like, I don't know, I think my best year as a W-2 employee was like $50,000 a year, and I mean, that just wasn't cutting it. So, I knew side work, dude, that's all I knew was work. So, I mean, when you talk about sun up to sundown work, it was go in your full-time job, go cut trees on the side. And it went from, trailers and trucks to big cranes and everything else. And it happened quick, man. So, was at Nelson there for a few years. Fast forward, got a bunch of side work, made like double my salary in 1 year on the side from working my butt off, and was like, man, this is crazy. Got my brother there. One day he called me. He's like, hey, they fired me over from some stuff, and I've been wanting to go into business for myself. And I'm like, when do you jump? When is that jump? Everybody's like, Todd, you can't go. You have the golden handcuffs, bro. You're in the union. You got a journeyman trade. You got good salary. You got benefits. I mean, like, what more could you ask for, dude? Like, what are you thinking? But these are people that around me, that's all they knew, man. Their whole life, they worked for that not I wouldn't say a slave to that, because we need that, but they worked for the man, their whole life.
Safety,
yeah. Dude, safety. And I was like, no, man, because in my mind, I'm like, well, I have pretty much a certification here that says no matter what I do, I can always come back here and make 50, 60, 70 grand a year. I can pay my bills, and my kids are not going to go hungry.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, let's go for it. So my brother calls me one day. He said, hey, man, these guys fired me. He had a problem with some power line stuff. Hit a pruner in there, popped the power out, and they're like, they fired me. I'm like, oh, they fired you. Okay, well, that's crappy. So I called my boss. I said, hey, my brother Blake, I said, hey, man, you want to be my first employee? Let's go for it. And he's like, sure, dude, let's go. I ain't got a job. I mean, I'll take the job. I'm like, all right, well, there's your job offer. It was a pretty formal interview process. And so, dude, that day, bam, just like that, man. I went to my boss, Randy, and was like, hey, man, you guys fired one, you're losing both, and my twin brother. And I said, we're out. So, man, I had already at that point really worked up. I mean, had a good arsenal, toolbox and trucks and trailers. So, man, we went into there and took off. Went into business. This is our 7th full-time year. 8th year in business, I guess you could say. So, man, we scale a tree service from 0 to we'll do mid 7 figures this year in work. And so, very profitable companies. I mean, it's not, it's a brick and mortar. It's a fully involved business. You know what I mean? So, man, there's a lot to cover in between there, but that's the quick, where it is, and lead us kind of this point. That's where we're at. I started dabbling in real estate. It's always been my passion. So I couldn't afford to do real estate because I had to pay for a kid. I couldn't afford to wait 90 days for a paycheck. So over the last couple of years, I've been able to build some storage lots, flip some houses, wholesale. We got some portfolios under contract right now to buy, and ultimately looking to keep growing and contracting and see where that goes. And then diversify though over to a very large portfolio that we'll talk about. So
love it, man.
There you go, man. There's me.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love that you said, and I think it is so key is you said, hey, I took what I learned growing up and knew what I didn't want. And I wanted to be that cycle of changing it for the legacy of my family. And not only have you done that, but I think the way that you were at 18 of like being like, man, I got to grow the fuck up.
Yeah, dude.
And I got to man up and I got to do this stuff. At that point, it was probably that pivotal point where you're like, all right, I'm going to fork in the road. I can either mail it in and go play the easy route and for lack of a better terms, just like F up being a dad and doing
completely fuck it up, dude. Like so many guys do that, dude.
Exactly.
And for me, it was like, look, dude, Volger, if I'm fucking man enough to make this baby, I'm man enough to take care of it.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people that don't have the mentality. And like for me, it was like, Todd, college is out the door. This is out the door. Go fucking work. Work hard. Don't worry about it. Just work. And that's the mentality I had, man. Like it just gives me chills, because like that's all it was. I was like, my daughter will never go without diapers, without food, without water. It will not happen if I have a say in it. So to these guys that are, man, deadbeats and just don't take care of their kids. I mean, parents, it just blows my mind, man, because it's not an option. It's a zero option mentality.
No, and I love it because I think, as you mentioned, like that's not the norm, right? Especially when you're in high school and things like that. So talk to me a little bit, like, as you're transitioning, you know, you have a kid, you bet it all on yourself. Like, what was going through your mind? I know you mentioned that you're like, all right, I can always go back there.
Yeah.
But like, what were some of the things that in that first year of business, like emotion wise and like laying it all on the line, like what was your mentality?
Don't die and don't go broke. Like, dude, there was really that, you know what I mean? Like, because tree care, let's be real, man, it's like the first or second most dangerous
it's not
career, like dangerous work there is, man. It's some dangerous stuff, you know? So, man, it's like, there should be a very large answer to that question. But for me, it was very simple. It was like, dude, just get it done. Continue to get up. Like, I don't think I need to make it so elaborate in this big, long deal. It's just like, no, dude, get up. You got responsibilities. Make it happen. But like in the first year of business, I mean, as you know, dude, it's like a tornado. You know what I mean? You're like, look back, you're like, whoa, what happened? You know what I mean? And like my first year of business, we got going so much. You know, like I said, I made like 50 grand a year trimming trees for the power line company. And then I think I did like 103,000 on the side. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, guess what? I still had no money because I invested all new equipment. And like when I went out on my own, dude, I had no money. Like none. I had like enough. I maybe had like $700 in my bank account, and I had like 7 jobs, side work jobs that were lined up. And I'm like, I'm going into business, dude.
How did you sign off on all that equipment and everything like that?
Dude, the money that I made on the side, cash, baby, cash. I mean, I couldn't get a loan, but at 18, I knew a buddy of mine, Logan, I knew that I wanted to buy a house early. So he's like, hey bro, this is what you need to do. And actually my dad, it's coming up. My dad actually, he never had a lot of money, but my dad always believed in his word and his credit. You know what I mean? Like my dad does not care. Never missed a bill in his life, no matter how broke he was. And that's a crazy thing to say, you know? But he knew how to shuffle, rob Peter to pay Paul, and he never missed a beat, dude. And that's where like some of my hustler comes from, is my parents and that survival, that zero option mentality. So like, I think that, like just getting into the business and understanding like, hey man, you have credit, but they're not going to lend to you. But my dad helped me with a lawnmower a few years before. Like, I can't believe he even signed with me on it. Like, it was like a $7,500 Ferris lawnmower when I was cutting grass. And it was enough to get me a fixed like debt, on my credit report, which allowed me to buy a house. Okay. So like, that was all I had was house credit. I went into business. I'm like, I can't get a loan on a chip truck. They're like, dude, you don't even have a business. Who are you? Right. So thankfully, trees is a cash cow. Literally, money grows on trees. My parents are wrong on that one. You know what I mean? So I always get my dad with that. I'm like, Dad, he's like, where are you gonna get the money? I'm like, dude, my money grows on trees, dude. Like, I just go cut a tree down. So, man, I mean, the equipment, it was just literally hustle, dude. Every time I had a penny, every time I had something, dude, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I put the cart before the horse in the sense of buying a chipper before I had the truck to pull it, like sitting in the backyard. So it was just cash, man. Like, till you get to a point where you can afford that cash, and then our equipment just starts stepping up to, from a $30,000 truck next, they're $300,000. It's like, oof, it's a little different. We're buying, everybody's got these Lambos, dude. I got a bunch of Lambos. They just look a little different. You know what I'm saying? So, So that's how it was, man. Just hustle, cash, grit, go. So,
And how many employees are you guys at right now?
I think we're at 11, 12. Yeah. We had bought out a company at the beginning of this year.
Okay.
And we spiked up to like, I think it was like 17 or 20, man. I don't know. I don't even know. And it was wild. Like the acquisition phase, that was a pretty big learning experience, we'll say.
Yeah.
What I had done there is I thought that I was going to take our current employee base, build our company. I think it's a little different than say like marketing and buying that online real estate and being able to take that over and just start editing it. For us, it was like, I pretty much realized right now, I'm like, crap, I bought a company that our customer and clients are up here, theirs are down here. I'm like, well, I just bought down. I didn't buy up. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
to intertwine that.
Yeah, man.
Makes that.
You think a company 50 years old has been cutting trees. Everyone in town's worked for him. Like I was after the phone number. You know what I mean? But but it's all good. We live and learn. So I mean, that's of course whatever.
So talking about like going from just like the solo entrepreneur where it's like, man, I'm hustling, to now having employees where you're like, man, there's a lot more at risk. It's the employees, it's their families, it's everybody that counts on them. What was that transition like at such a young age where you're like, man, these people are probably older than me and there's a lot more at stake?
Trial and error. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I when I say like I didn't have a mentor, I don't have anyone in my I'm the guy in the family with the money now. You know what I mean? Like I'm that guy. You know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's you know, like I mean, it's just like I came up with it, and it's just like my point is like I never had anybody that's like, hey man, what do you do with this money? Hey man, how do you do this in business? It's like, no, throw this shit at the wall. That one didn't stick. Don't do that again. But I'm pretty stubborn on that. I'll try getting it to stick again, and it doesn't. You know, so like that's me. But I think coming up, like I had employees from day one, you know, like most guys do this like solo deal for a year or two, and then they like add in a paycheck. Bro, from day one, from the jump, it was, oh shit. Because I got my brother on me, and then I hired another guy instantly. So within day 3, within week 1, I had 4 employees.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, because you can't cut a tree down by yourself.
Yeah, nor
like,
do you probably want to.
No, it's dangerous. So like that was wild. Like, how do you pay these guys?
Yeah.
How do you do this? Dude, I'm like, paying them cash. I'm like, isn't this how you pay people? You just give them cash. And then I'm like, oh wait, maybe I should put a paper trail behind this. So I just like write it in a check, like 40 hours times 25,000. Okay, you get 1,000, you get 1,000. And then next thing you know, taxes came around and they're like, hey, where'd this money go? And I'm like, oh, paying the people, payroll, whatever you call that. You know, they're like, yeah, dude, you missed like the taxes, the
part
fee,
of it,
like the main part the government wants.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you missed that. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. What does that mean? You know what I mean? They're like, you have to pay all this back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, I don't have any money. You know, like I paid everybody, you know, and they're like, yeah, we don't care. So like, dude, I learned that like in my first year. And then I had a guy turn me in on unemployment division of, I was paying him cash. Child support came after him. He came after me. Next thing you know, I was getting audited. Like this all happened in the first year, like opening my books, boom, 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 boom. Cause I didn't know, you don't know what you don't know. Right. So then I like hired a payroll company and figured all that out. So like, that was like the number one thing, man. You talk about just trying to get them paid, but then step back to like, let's just go to like now being a boss. You know, I hate that word boss, but like being the leader, being in charge, you know, you're like, oh, whoa, I'm in charge of all these people's family. Like my brother had a new house, baby on the way. These other people that worked with me had kids. I'm like, whoa, like this happened within a week. You know what I mean? So
that's quick,
dude. So like you just figure it out. Like you just figure it out. Made a ton of mistakes. Definitely didn't do stuff the legal or the right way right away. But the government will tell you what you're doing wrong. I promise you, very quick. So I think that was hard too. Is I've always had the issue of like I've always worked with people my own age. Yeah. So there's always that respect line and issue that can be there. I'm sure you've probably felt that a little bit. You know, so trying to lead young boys, men at that age, you know what I mean? Like when I'm one myself is challenging, right? And a new father, all these things. So, you know, it had its challenges, man, but it was just get through it, man. It was just a lot of stuff, people not showing up, the whole employee, I mean, you name it. Everyone probably listens, been an employee, you name it, we went through it, dude.
All done through it. Yeah, I think that like for me, and I didn't realize, I knew you had your brother, I didn't realize you had that many employees so quickly, but like a year in is when I had 3 employees. And that's when it was like, all right, dude, like I love going back to the days and thinking about like when I just got started, like when you and I first met, it was just me. It's like, dude, if I F this up, if I F this company up, the only, like me and my family are going to suffer. Right. But like, dude, like I can come back from that. If I put all of this stuff and I build this thing and I have everybody else's crap on the line, that's what I'm worried about now. Still in addition to my mom, in addition to myself. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. The next thing, I know you kind of briefly touched about like mentors, like you didn't really have that, like people were coming to you, but I know since then, I mean, we've gone to some events together and things like that. I know I see you travel now to go to some of those types of events. What has that done for you since you've started to really invest in yourself in some of those places?
I mean, dude, it's literally taken my vision from this to this. Yeah. Like that's like I have peripheral, like I can see to the side as to where I was just so focused. And I think why I say that is like, I think like number one, you have to look at your ego and look at what is keeping you from growing or why you want to learn. But like, I understood that. And I think a lot of people want to grow, but then to implement, it's hard, you know? So like, what is it in you that's keeping you from doing it? And so like, for me, when I started going out and we'll say personal development and those things, like when it comes to mentor, man, I still don't have a mentor, you know, like, I guess I have like audible mentors, if that sounds right, like podcasts and things like that. That's something that I have always thought about. I'm like, man, what would it be like to have an Adam, you know, a guy that could just, hey, Todd, like, dude, don't step there. Yeah. That's really deep hole. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you know, and you hear these guys that have found one and it's huge success. I'm not I'm definitely not, I would love the opportunity for the universe to deliver one to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how it works. There was like, when the student's ready to learn, the teacher will appear, is what I'm always told. And I'm like, I'm ready. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know, you know? So like, I've gone to the events, like you said, you know, a lot of these masterminds. I'm more of a personable dude. Like I'm not this big mass guy. Like I don't really care about the big fluffy events and the big, I don't know, you know, like that doesn't do it for me. I'm more personable. Like I want to go to this guy's lake house, sit down and play poker, or sit down and really strategically work on things and not have 900 people that don't even remember your name tomorrow. Like it's just like you're just jacking hands off all day long. You know what I mean? Like to me, some people get that. I don't. I'm more personable. So I think it's been huge, man. I mean, from real estate guys to you know, it's like spiritual kind of ourselves when it comes to, you know, you and I know we've worked with Jose. You know, I look at him, I guess, as like a mentor in different areas. So you know, just open the whole horizon of what's out there, and then you got to figure out, oh man, because it gets so big. So where are you going to go? You got to almost like hone it back in. So
and I think the word mentor is like very overused, no different than like mastermind. And so like I catch myself saying those things when it's more on like, I would say like exactly what you said, like strategically investing in yourself and the personal development. Cause like I would look at Jose as a mentor. I would look at my business coach as a mentor, where it's like, okay, yes, I'm paying for those things. But I think that's one of the things where most people struggle is like they're trying to find the mentor that shows up in their life that they're not willing to actually put skin in the game for.
Yes.
And that's where it's like people lose it because they're like, I just want somebody that's done way more than I've done. Anytime I've started to spend more money, I mean, I'm spending literally close to $20,000 a month now in some of these groups and networks and building these partnerships because I want to learn from the people. But if I don't pay them, they're probably not going to invest in me. And if I don't actually put skin in the game, so there's levels to all this stuff. And that's what I think like you and I've probably seen the most over the last 3 years is like some of these people that are out there, we know that are just completely fake. That it's not even real.
I know
what they're doing.
We ain't gonna call no names, but we know them. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's this entrepreneur. Everybody's this. Everybody's that. It's like, dude, right behind the curtain. Like, and you know, but hey, man, not to throw shade like on anybody. It's just like that's something I've realized. I'm just like, I think it can be hard to practice what you preach all the time.
100%.
And that's something that I struggle with. So it's like, yeah, you know, you get all these people that are big, these Instagram flexes and all this stuff. Like, me and you could go flex way harder than we flex. Like we got a tree service and a marketing thing. It's like, dude, we don't care about the Lambos and all this stuff. Like, sure, that's cool, but like that's a big ego stroke that I don't care. Like I heard something from, I guess you could kind of say a mentor guy, Michael. One day I was telling him about a Lamborghini dealership or a car. I was like, he said something about buying a plane, whatever else. He goes, bro, this is where it's twisted. This whole world. All these dudes are trying to buy the Lambo. He goes, I'm trying to own the dealership.
Yeah.
Like it's that simple.
Yeah.
If you're so busy driving around that Lamborghini all day long, you ain't gonna own that dealership.
Oh, 100%.
So I think that it's just like the whole the whole deal of like you said is like seeing it grow and what it is like, dude, you got to pay to play in this game. Like you have to invest, and sometimes you're gonna spend 10-15 grand with someone and it's a dud.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, how am I gonna financially recover from that? And it's like, you just keep going.
Yeah.
A ball in motion stays in motion until something stops it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's like a big thing too, like for the people listening to this is like, invest in yourself, man. Like so many people spend so much money on college. I have a college degree, but I've got, dude, $1 million in degrees. Like, 100%. I mean, I've taken 6-figure hits to the chin and almost been out of business probably 3 times. I mean, literally selling trucks to make payroll. Like telling my guys like, hey, that truck's, I'm tired of that truck. We're getting rid of it. Like, why were you selling that truck? So we can make payroll. Like, you don't tell them that, you know what I mean? But it's like, you get so stretched out and it's just crazy, man. The entrepreneurship, I think just the whole lens that a lot of people get to experience through, it's not really the truth, you know? I think you see that, you know?
100%.
What would you say is like, what do you think is like the most interesting flex going on right now? Like, is it like, or maybe let me rephrase that. Like, what type of business are you seeing? Like one that comes to mind for me is like Amazon automation. Like I couldn't tell you how many people I know. They're like this, all of a sudden this Amazon automated guy.
Yeah. No, I'd say it's like coaching and consulting.
Ooh, yeah, dude, absolutely. You stole that one.
So like what I always laugh is like people like reach out to me probably once a week. They're like, "Hey, will you be my marketing agency coach?" And I'm like, "I have no interest in doing that right now. Like I'm working on other things." And they're like, "Well, these other programs that are out there are literally like they've done way less than you and like it's all facts, but they're charging all of this stuff. Like I would rather pay you." I'm like, again, it doesn't, just because they're doing it and they're coaching and consulting on it doesn't make it right.
Amen.
And so it's a tough space because these people are doing business for 1, 2, 3 years. And then they're trying to go and coach people on all of these other things. And that's what I'm like, I laugh because I'm like, all right, if I wanted to go do it, there would be a market there for me to do it. And maybe someday I will. I just don't have a passion for it right now. But between that and people just starting business, and I think over the last 3 years, things have been inflated, right? Because there was a ton of money going around from consumers.
Everyone's sitting behind their desk or their cameras during COVID.
Yeah. And so now these people were able to start these businesses, and now these businesses are struggling because the economy's going down. Like all these realities are now coming to the fruition, right? And people are buying all these different things and it's not working. It's because they're trying to have that overnight success. And when their business starts to struggle, it's like, what am I going to go do? I'm going to go coach. I'm going to go consult. And it's like,
quick cash.
Like that's what it is. So like these people are all going to get exposed at one point or another. Like you and I are playing the long game. Like if people actually sat down and had conversations with us and knew all the things we've done and actually worked on, they'd be like, what the hell? I'm paying people way more to get less.
If the internet, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and fucking Google shut off tomorrow, guess who would still be making money? This fucking guy right here. Not every, I gotta watch what I say. Most people out there would not be. If the internet switch went like this tomorrow, bro, that is one thing that I've always thought about. Like, don't get me wrong, the internet, there's some fast moving businesses. Dude, mad respect to you to see what you've grown. It's beautiful, dude. Like, but like, for me, I've always thought about that. I'm like, how do I keep a tried and true business that like, I don't have to have the internet. Yeah. I don't need this. Like this personal brand for me, I keep dabbling with, and man, I got one toe in and one toe out. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, do I need to do this? Like, like you're saying, like coaching, I don't know. I think I would like to do it, but I have to be more committed to it instead of interested. Yeah. And I'm still not there because like, for me, I don't care if I'm in the spotlight, bro. Like I really don't. Like I'm a loud, proud, I'll say what anyone has in their mind kind of guy, but I don't know. I mean, to get out there and coach, or not to coach, but to create a whole bunch of content will come with time. I just don't let it be there. But like when it comes to the coaching space, I've always wanted to help coach like tree guys. And there's no doubt in my mind, they say like, when you're able to coach and reach down 5 years behind you and pull someone up, that's what you should be coaching, right? And so I'm like, 5 years for sure. I could teach somebody how to go from a $8,000 a week to making $100,000 a week or whatever you want to do. Like, and then like for me, it's not just about the money though. Like, dude, I don't have to work every day. Like before I came to this podcast, I went by and saw my daughter, got to give her a kiss, say what's up to my wife, whatever. Already had the office meetings, the shop meetings. The guys are out working. Here I am with you. When I leave here, a few things to do. But like, I don't understand the whole hustle culture. I had to get out of that, dude. That was so hard. So like getting out of that.
How did you get out of that?
I don't know. I don't have an answer. I think I just realized like what scalability was. And then like, that's where I guess I understood like how to delegate and stop. Like, sure, my paycheck could be like 4 times as big as it is now, but I'd be 20 times stressed out. Oh yeah. So that's where I think it is. Most guys haven't built that muscle to go and coach. So when you say coaching, dude, yeah, you totally killed it on that answer. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is, and that's where I struggle with coaching, Adam, is like, even receiving a coach, being the one that received it, or being the student or the player. Yeah. I feel like the coaches that keep getting recommended to me have never ran a legit business. They have never, I just struggle with it, man. I'm like, hold on. So you're teaching contractors how to build a business. Where's your contracting business? Because it's way easier to just say, hey, Adam, today we need to work on SOPs. Yeah. You and your team after this call needs to do this, this, and this. Okay, Charlie, well, where's your construction company at that all your SOPs were dialed in? And that's where I've started to realize, and we've been at some groups together where I've seen that with guys, and I'm like, wait, how come I've never seen your company around? How come I never seen the exits? How come I never, you went bankrupt. and cheated on everybody and screwed them. And now you're a coach.
Yeah.
Got it.
Dude, the internet it's been a blessing in disguise for a lot of people, and it's also just been the worst thing, I think, for a lot of people, because people want that like instant gratification. Yeah, they're like, I want to go pay that guy, because all these people's sales pitch are that they're going to make you so much money and they're going to do all this stuff. It goes back to like what you said, is if the internet shuts off tomorrow, 90% of people are screwed, myself included. Like, that's why I'm trying to do some other things and trying to figure out what that next play is, because not that I think it's going to shut off, but it's always that in the back of my mind is like, how do I diversify while not taking away from the main thing?
Wasn't it like a year or two ago, or like a year ago, that Facebook shut off for like
24 hours?
Dude, the world about burned, bro.
Yeah.
Burned.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I'm chilling over here. You know, like people walking around with their heads on fire. I'm like, what's going on? You know?
It was actually not like, I was like, great, so I don't have to be on like nobody's gonna message me on social media. Like, if they need to talk to me, they have my cell. But
well, and like building on that though, it's like, you know, making you know, like I know somebody did really well in Bitcoin, right? And like that was another big thing where I thought, just get rich quick. Dude, I lost 45 grand in Bitcoin, dude.
I never touched it.
I had someone that I knew turned about 100 grand into over 20 million. And wow. I seen it. And so I'm the kind of guy, it's like, if you're not happy, I'm not taking happiness advice from you, finance. I'm like, and they told me to put a little bit in there. And if anybody knows me, I go way in. And I'm like, 4 grand? No, let's 10X this shit. Let's do 40 or whatever. And it's like, oh, I mean, have I lost because I haven't sold? No, but like that fucking money is gone, bro. Like it is so gone. So, so like for me, it's like these quick little instant hits, like of dopamine hits, like whatever. It's not going to do anything for you. It's got to be the long-term game. And so like what I say about the internet shutting down is like one thing if I decide to coach, I wish even the audience, man, here's a thing, like if you're in a business, find a way. If you're paying rent in that business or anything else, dude, find a way to make that P&L come back to you. You know, like make sure that you're buying and investing in a thing. Like that's how I did it. I bought property to build the tree service on that turned into a storage lot. And then I've got other real estate holdings right now that ultimately the tree service paid for. And I have a few $100,000 a year that comes in passive that I don't worry about it. So it's like, I have my active income off trees, passive income going over here and just making money. Like it just stacks and then it goes spins and stacks and goes spins. So like for me, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like I started out real shaky young at an age. And so I'm like, holy fuck, man, I cannot, my biggest fear is to go to zero. Yeah. But I know that I can always get it back. You can always get it back. So that's like for me, I'm like, dude, hey man, build right, build smart. Sure, your top line may not be where these guys are, but like, dude, you got security. You know what I mean? So like right now, I mean, I could sell my tree company, cash in on a nice paycheck, and literally, if I was okay with $250,000 a year, just go hang out. But that's not the life I want. I want to invest. I want to be more. I want to build more wealth and all those things, because like I've realized, dude, and I think maybe you have too, but like, honestly, bro, after a couple $100,000 a year, life doesn't change. Yeah, it doesn't. It does not change. It only gets shinier, bigger, faster, sexier. That's all it can really do. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like it's just money. So use it as a tool. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it, man. Well, this has been an incredible episode. I really appreciate you coming in and always enjoy talking with you. Where can people stay connected with you online?
Yeah, you can hit me up on Facebook at Todd Liscombe, Instagram, Todd Liscombe. We'll be coming out with more YouTube and stuff. We're working on some stuff in the background to just kind of get it going. I've been, like I said, dabbling. So that's where you can find me at. Hit me a DM, man. If anybody's got any questions about contracting, anything, hit me up. So.
Awesome, man. We'll put that in the show notes, but I appreciate you, man.
Awesome, brother. Thank you.
And thank you again to the audience for tuning in to today's podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, download, and share our content. Leaving a 5-star review goes a long way. We'll see y'all next week. And remember, entrepreneurs aren't born, they are brewed.
I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs aren't born, they're brewed. Thank you for listening to Entrepreneur Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney. Let's